Hi everyone, it's Steph here from the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Books Beside My Bed video. For those of you who are new here, I film one of these every week where I wrap up the last 7 days worth of reading, and for anyone who is very familiar with the series, welcome back. This is my reading week from the 1st until the 7th of November. I was sort of participating in the Paranormal Romance Readathon this week, so this video will be full of paranormal romance books. I read a total of 6 books, 1,447 pages, and my yearly reading total is up to 250 books. The day that I am filming this is the first day of the Love in the Night Paranormal Romance Readathon as well, so next week will be full of more paranormal romance books, and honestly, I'm so excited about it all. The first book that I read this week was a reread of Caressed by Ice by Nalini Singh. This is book 3 in the Changeling series. It was released in 2007. Again, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I thought this was maybe my 4th read, but apparently, according to all of my notes, it's only my 3rd reread. I did listen to the audio of this, and as I'm going to have a full review video coming out, I think on Wednesday, I'm not going to talk about it much in here, except to say that this is Judd and Brenna's book, and it's the first novel that takes place in the Snowdancer clan, which is the Wolf Changeling clan. So stay tuned for Wednesday, I'm going to talk about this in more detail then. I did read Caressed by Ice for the Fated Mates square on the bingo board for the Paranormal Romance Readathon. Then I read The Power of Hades by Liza Rain. This is the first book in the Hades Trials novella trilogy, I think. It's a 2020 release. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars and I read it for the Paranormal Romance Readathon to read a novella. It was also the group pick and it was on Kindle Unlimited. It is a Hades and Persephone retelling. It begins with Persephone, or Percy as she's known, being plucked off the streets by Zeus and thrown into the Hades trials. Now, Percy believes herself to be human and Zeus has concocted the Hades trials in order to force his brother to take a wife. The only problem with this is that Percy is actually Hades' first wife and doesn't remember any of her time in Olympus or the underworld and is, for all intents and purposes, human. I didn't particularly enjoy this book. I mean, there was nothing wrong with it, and it's definitely a book that ends with a cliffhanger spot thing where you have to continue the series, but I'm not particularly interested in doing that because nothing happened in the first book. It's literally a series of trials where Persephone has to win, and it wasn't all that interesting. Yeah, the romance element wasn't there to make it a paranormal romance, I don't think. Then I read Shades of Wicked by Janine Frost. This is the first book in the Night Rebel series. It was a 2018 release that I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. This was one of the books that came in a Bay Crate box, and I do have the second book, which I'm hopefully going to read in the Love in the Night readathon for the sequel challenge, so I think I finally made my decision. This is the story of Master Vampire Ian, who was quite prevalent in the Night Huntress series, which I have read the first book of, and I've listened to a lot of people talking about, so I have basic understanding of that series. I know that technically I probably should have read that first. Ian is a very shameless vampire, and he also now owes the demon Dagon his soul. Enter Veritas, who is sort of a vampire cop whose job is to police vampires, and she goes after Ian because she believes that she can use him to help her get revenge on Dagon. It was fun, it was kind of campy. Ian is absolutely unrepentant in everything that he does, and I kind of loved him for that. You know, sometimes you just want characters who really are unapologetic for their own behaviour. I did like the reveal of Veritas's history in this because she has a big secret that she's carrying around, and I'm curious to see where they go with that in the second book. So stay tuned, you'll hear about that hopefully next week. I also read Grizzly Bait by Kira Blackwood. This is the first book in the Werebears of Riverwood series. It was published in 2016. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was a Fated Mates bear shifter romance. Emma Hiller is the sheriff of Riverwood, and pretty much nothing ever really happens there. She's devoted to the town. It's very calm most of the time until suddenly they have mysterious break-ins, earthquakes, and a murder on their hands. And to top it all off, a Fed suddenly injects himself into the investigation and takes over. That's Liam Blake, who is a grizzly bear shifter and an enforcer, and he's taken on the role of a federal officer in order to solve a mystery that is happening around Riverwood and to investigate the death of a bear shifter that he knew. Of course, when he crosses paths with Emma, his bear decides that she's his mate and the story goes from there. But it was really just fun and delightful, and I do really like bear shifter books. The next book is a totally weird one, but I found as a recommendation on the romance Discord that I am a member of, and it's called Deal with the Demon, and it's one of those delightful 2020 releases where authors have just decided to write whatever makes them happy, and this book was just cute. So it is a 2020 release from Chase Verity. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. We follow Heidi, who is a single mother with 2 pre/young teens, and she has to work 2 jobs in order to keep everything afloat. Her kids keep getting into trouble at school. She gets fired from her full-time job and desperately needs to find a second job to maintain everything. And she inadvertently summons a demon using a QR code on a pamphlet via her phone. And that's the premise of the story. So suddenly this demon appears in the living room. Her kids name him Dristan after a character in their favourite TV show. And his sole purpose is to help Heidi succeed in whatever she chooses to do. And that could be exposing him and becoming famous, but what she wants him to do is basically become her house husband to look after her kids so she can go and work and then hunt for a new permanent job. And the whole thing was just beautiful. I loved it. Sometimes you just want a completely bonkers, delightfully fun read that doesn't take very long. And this one was not very long at all. And finally, I read a 3-novella anthology collection called Grizzly Cove by Bianca D'Arc. This is a 2016 release, I believe. I gave this probably 3 stars on average. It is a small town bear shifter series, and we follow a group of male bears who have decided to create a little town / settlement because bears are traditionally loners. They don't tend to live in clans. They banded around their alpha John when he came up with this idea to create this town, a safe place for everyone where they could live. John's plans for this town included them all taking up some kind of art or craft and turning it into like an art village, which I thought was an adorable concept, and some of them struggle a little bit with fitting into that brief. But there are 3 stories. The first one is all about the bear, and this one is about the town sheriff Brody, who is a grizzly bear shifter who falls in love with Nell, the owner of a local bakery. Nell and her 2 sisters are the only human women and the only humans currently living in the town, and Nell is accidentally exposed to the secret of the shifters when a drunk guy walks into the bakery who happens to be a koala shifter. Now, the author keeps calling the koala a koala bear. Koalas are not bears, they're marsupials, so points off for that. But I was honestly delightful that there was a koala shifter. I thought that was hilarious. The second book is Mating Dance, and this one follows the town sheriff, Tom, who is also a grizzly bear shifter, and he strikes up a relationship with Ashley, who is Nell's sister. And Ashley used to be a lawyer, but something happened during one of her cases and she was vilified by the media, and so she has left her profession and escaped with her sisters to somewhere where no one will find her. And the final book in the anthology was Night Shift, and this was Zach's story, and Zach is the deputy sheriff. He is a black bear shifter, and this book really talked a lot about the differences between the different bear shifters in the community, because they have the grizzlies, they have black bears, they have pandas. I really want to read the panda book. I have to see if there is a panda book. There's also a polar bear, I think, plus the koala. Anyway, I'm completely sidetracked. So this is the relationship between Zach and Ashley and Nell's younger sister, Tina. This book also introduces some of the vampire mythology that the world is building in, as well as some magical monsters. They're all super short. I think most of them are under 100 pages. It's one of those series that just assumes that you can dive straight into a paranormal romance and accept the world. And for the most part, I can do that. That's fine. But they were just delightfully short reads, and I had fun reading them. So those are all the books that I read in the last 7 days. In the comments, let me know if you have read any of these books or if you're planning to read them in the future. I am getting so excited to start reading books for the Love in the Night readathon. I've got a few errands to do today, and then I am starting at least 1 or 2 of the books. I haven't decided whether I'm going to read as many of the novellas as I can and get them all out of the way, or whether I'm just going to start a novel and hopefully get through a full novel today. I haven't decided. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you are staying safe and healthy. We had some good news today in the media from overseas. I'm so excited for my friends in the States, and we're hoping to get good news here in Melbourne as well. So look after yourselves, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye everyone.